guys, it's Caitlin B and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that's been a long time coming. This happened before I even started YouTube, which was years ago. It's a video that I've wanted to do because I've always thought it was so funny. I just always got scared if I ran into these people, like would they have seen the video? Would it be an awkward confrontation? But you know what? I moved away now, so I got a whole buttload of stories for you guys. Before I get started with the video, I just want to say hello to any new viewers of my channel. And if you want to stick around and subscribe, then go ahead and hit this button right here, or you can hit it below if you are on a phone. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about crazy lies I was told by my ex. Now this is a person that I've never shown on my YouTube channel. We dated before I started my YouTube. Before I get on with the lies, I want to tell you guys about how I met this person, give you guys a little backstory on me and this person's relationship. So this was probably my first real boyfriend. I was in 7th grade going into 8th grade. So I played softball at the time. I played softball for most of my life up until in the middle of high school is when I stopped playing. But at this point, I was playing on my summer team with my friend Ashley, who I've done videos with before, and I'm gonna be doing more with her very soon. At one of our games, there was this guy who came up, and for the sake of this video, I'm gonna call this guy Joe. So my friend Ashley went over to this guy Joe, and she was chatting up with him, and I remember like going up to bat at this point, and then I came back and I was like, holy crap, is that her brother? Because I know she had a brother, I just hadn't met him yet. So I was like, oh my god, her brother is smoking. So then she came over to me and she's like, hey Caitlin, meet my friend Joe. And I was like, oh, it's not your brother. And she's like, no, he's not my brother. We go to school together. And Ashley and I went to different high schools. And I was just smitten with Joe. Joe was so fine. I just remember being like, whoa, I need to date Joe. I was always that kind of person. I met someone and I just knew right away if I wanted to date them. And honestly, usually I did. I don't know how, but it just happened usually within a week of each other. And Joe was no exception. It wasn't long before Joe and I were talking on the phone, started hanging out with Joe and his friends, and I remember one time being at the beach with my friend and then Joe and his friend. I think that's when he asked me out to be his girlfriend, honestly. I don't remember exact details, but I'm pretty sure it was on the beach. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Mind you, this happened within a week of when I first met him. It was all fine and dandy. Joe and I had a great, not even long distance relationship. We didn't live that far from each other, but we didn't go to the same schools. Now, one of the craziest lies that Joe told me, I think was one of the first, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna keep it towards the end so that we can kind of work our way up to that crazy lie. So let's start off slow, shall we? Let's get our feet wet in just a little bit of the lies that I was told. Now, mind you, I was obsessed with him. I thought he was the cutest person ever. I even had him shadow me in middle school. Okay, so here is one of the smaller lies. I believe it was either my birthday or it was Valentine's Day. Both are in February, I can't remember which one. So I remember we hung out and then at the end he was like, hey, I actually made you something for Valentine's Day or your birthday. I think it was Valentine's Day. And I was like, seriously? Like, you got me something? And he's like, yeah, I got you something, but I also made you something for Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh my god, that is so adorable. It was just the nicest thing that any first boyfriend could have ever done for me. So I got really excited and nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, what did he make me? Like, was it a card? Did he write me a poem? Joe went upstairs and then he brought down behind his back and he's like, okay, close your eyes. And I was like, okay. And I held out my hands and I remember opening my eyes and it was this stuffed animal. It was a perfect stuffed animal. Like it didn't look like someone made it. And I was like, you made me this? And he was like, yeah, like I made it for you. My mom helped me sew it. I spent a lot of time like learning how to sew for you. I really wanted to give you something nice, so I decided to like make you this dog because I know you really like dogs. And I just remember being like, oh my god, this is so cool. It didn't look anything like a home sewn, someone first learning how to frickin' sew kind of dog. Like it was a perfect frickin' you went to Target and bought me a stuffed animal. He had hard eyes and he had a hard nose. So I just felt like it was too perfect, but at the same time I was like, well, my boyfriend is just like perfect. I remember pushing that to the side and just like trying to tell myself that he actually made this for me for the longest time, until one night I was snuggling with it and then I felt something and I looked and there was, you know how there's like plasticky kind of tags on your clothing that say like dry clean only or wash in warm water? Well, there was one of those, but it was cut off. Like there, you can see that someone cut it off like pretty short so that you couldn't tell that it was there, but I felt it and I saw it and there was like 2 of them. Oh my god, I remember just like my heart sank. All of my suspicions came true. This guy lied to me. He didn't make this for me. It was tragic and we're just getting started. So another lie he told me, which I believe was after the big lie, but I'm just gonna say it first because again, why not lead up to this? Joe texted me And he told me that he was bleeding profusely, and I was like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, what's wrong? And he's like, hold on, like, I can't talk right now. Like, I have to make sure I'm okay. I didn't hear from him for a while. Finally, he called me that night, and I was like freaking out because I'm like, what? You just texted me that you're bleeding profusely, and like, what is happening? He told me that he was on a run around the neighborhood. He kind of lives on like a busy street. He said he was like running around and a car hit him. It was just like a hit and run, and he was left on the ground, and he was profusely bleeding from his chest, and he had to partially crawl home because of how deep this wound was and how much he was bleeding. But by the time he got home, he started sewing himself up, and then his dad helped him sew up his wound. So we didn't have to go to the hospital or anything because it's like no big deal, like you're bleeding profusely from your chest, but like you can totally just hand sew it because you're such a fucking... Not only can you sew a stuffed dog to perfection, but you can also just sew up your chest. So, man, I was dating a seamstress. Have I got you guys worked up yet? Because I'm about to tell you the best lie that you have ever heard from a boyfriend. Whew, I remember this one so vividly because I was so angry and sad and then freaked out. This was either 8th grade or into 9th grade. I don't remember. I think this was 8th grade. We dated for a period of a year and a half. So this was Halloween of either 2008 or 2009. So a bunch of us friends were meeting at Anna and Jack's house. So I remember talking with Joe, and we decided that he would come and go trick-or-treating with my friends and I, and then we just like hang out afterward. We still went trick-or-treating back then because it was like fun. So we were gonna go trick-or-treating for a little bit and then just like have like a little house party at our friend's house. So I remember waiting for him at our friend's house, and we were waiting for a while, and then finally I was like, hey, like you guys can just start going because I don't know where Joe is. And so they were like, well, we're not gonna leave. Calling Joe, and I'm like, where are you? And like texting him, and he wasn't answering. And finally he texted me and he was like, hey, my dad and I have been driving around forever trying to find this house, and we just can't find you guys, so he's like really upset and he's making us go back home. I was devastated because I was really excited for him to hang out with my friends outside of him shadowing me, of course. I was just really upset, really disappointed that he couldn't make it, but I understood. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'm gonna still like go out and have fun with my friends, obviously, but I was like, you know, just tell me how your night goes. I hope you have fun. So he told me he was gonna hang out with his friend from a different high school. I've never heard of this friend. I didn't know we had a friend at this other high school. So the next day I got home from school, and I remember the first thing I did was I went on either MySpace or AOL Instant Messenger. Always go on after school, and I remember getting so excited when I saw the screen name pop up. Do any of you remember those days, how excited you felt when you saw like your crush's name pop up on AOL, that they were online? It was like, holy crap, oh my God, I'm missing those days. Wow. Okay, his name popped up and we were talking, and he's like, oh my God, Caitlin, you're not gonna believe this, like what happened to me on Halloween, like it's insane. And he's like, oh my God, I just have to call you because it's ridiculous. And he's like, I might be in really huge trouble here, and I might not be able to go to school anymore. So he called me, and this is what he told me. He was walking around with his friend from this other high school, and he's kind of a troublemaker. His friend decided to walk up to this house, and he thought he was just like ringing the doorbell to trick or treat, but he wasn't. And he said that he ran into the person's house once they opened the door. He was at the bottom of the steps of this person's house, and he was like really confused and just sat there. Finally, his friend just sprinted out of the house and ran and didn't even acknowledge him at all. So the door was left wide open, and Joe said he heard some screams, so he walked in the door, as anyone would, right? He said when he walked in this person's house that there was this woman on the ground that had been stabbed. I can't. Okay, bleeding everywhere, and she was still alive, but Joe decided to call the police even though his friend was the one who stabbed the woman. Joe says that he called the police immediately, and when the police got there, they were questioning him and they thought it was him. So Joe said that he spent the entire night talking with the police, and now he might have to go to juvie. I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. He told this to me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're gonna go to juvie? Like, I can't date a delinquent. He's like, yeah, I'll have to keep you updated. Like, I have a court date soon. I truly believed him, you guys. I thought all of this happened. Why would he lie to me? Why would he make this shit up? I honestly, to this day, don't know why he made this up. I don't know if he still stands by this story. I would love to lie in the Facebook DMs and just be like, yo, do you remember this? Because this did not happen. I remember telling my friends, pretty sure most of them believed it, until one day I remember I went to the mall with my friend, and we were with Joe. We were just like walking around the mall, and I remember at one point he just like hugged me like really tight, and he was just like, I'm so scared. And I was like, why? And he's like, tomorrow's my court date to see if I go to juvie. And I was like, oh my God, like I hope everything goes well for you. Like, I know you didn't do it, and they'll know that as well. Like, just tell the truth. So we went back to her place later that day without Joe, and I remember telling her what he told me, and she was like, and court's not open on Sundays. And I was like, what? I don't know how she knew that, or I don't even know if that's factual. I was like horrified, and I just kept trying to defend him, and I was like, no, like maybe he meant the next day. Like he wouldn't lie to me. But then sure enough, on Sunday, I remember he texted me later that night and said that the court went well and that he's not going to juvie. So all went well for him. He didn't go to juvie. Wow, we all thought that was gonna happen. That's about the extent of the lies that he told me that I can think of off the top of my head. I know there was probably a ton more like crazy shit that he told me, but obviously it was such a long time ago that I've probably just forgotten about it by now. He actually ended up breaking up because he told me his dad wouldn't let him date anyone during basketball season. So, I don't know. Whoa! Why would we lie about that stuff? I did a lot of weird shit when I was young too. Like I ended up catfishing people at one point. If you guys want a story time on that, I can do a video. Don't recommend doing that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know in the comments below. And also let me know, have you been told any crazy ass lies from any of your exes before? If so, let me know in the comments. And if you guys want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. You can hit this button right here, or if you're on a phone, you can just hit the button right below this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, if you want to follow me on any of my social media sites, they will all be listed in the description box below as well. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you guys soon. Mwah!